Not my parent but grandparent. When I was around 10 years old, my grandmother went out and got us, her, my brother, and me, McDonald's. We got home, and we didn't have napkins in the bags. No big deal. Right? We have paper towels and napkins in the house. Also, me and my brother are pretty good with not making any messes while we eat. Nope. Grandmother got us in the car, drove back to McDonald's, demanded a manager, and screeched about how upset she was that we didn't get any napkins. I wanted to just melt into the floor and disappear. It's just napkins. Nanny. When I was a young child on a long distance flight, my mother let me and my brother sleep on the floor. For safety reasons, the flight attendants told my mother that we were not allowed to sleep on the floor. She started to argue with the flight attendants, who then turned to the pilots. The pilots threatened to turn the plane around unless we get up from the floor, but she continued to argue. The pilots announced they were about to turn around because of my mother. So all the passengers got pissed. Eventually she caved in when she had all passengers and flight crew on a Boeing 747 against her. Before Value Village, Savers in the States I think, changed policies. She would cut tags to get discounts, since the cashiers would basically make up whatever price they thought it would be on the spot. If they highballed it, she would get a manager involved, and I hated that. Ugh. My dad. He can be such a prick if you get his order wrong. It could be fast food or a nice sit-down restaurant. He often yells at waitstaff if they undercook his steak. It has to be well done, or he claims to have lost his appetite. One time we went to Burger King when I was younger, and we sat down to eat. He took one bite of his burger, spit it out, and immediately started bitching about it being undercooked. He cut in front of everyone in line to yell at the cashier. Then he asked who was the cook. When the cook appeared, he launched his burger, hitting the poor kid directly in the face with a lidless burger. Heller is now banned for life from Burger King. My mom asked me to call her a taxi via an app. She ended up calling me multiple times, complaining about how the driver didn't use the route she thought was best. She never owned a car and doesn't know how to drive, even though the guide just used the best possible route the navigator suggested. She ended up getting out halfway and using Subway. The driver proceeded to call me in tears, completely shocked, unsure of what he did so wrong, and apologizing. I felt like total shit. I never called her a cab again. Edit. First silver thank you. I worked at Best Buy. I stopped in with my mom one day because she wanted to buy me the Star Wars DVD box set for my birthday. I had a huge crush on the girl that was working the customer service counter. Well, the DVD set rang up $10 more than it was priced, and my mom deliberately didn't say anything until after the transaction, so she could claim the effing $5 Michigan scan law bounty. My crush didn't know how to process it, and the manager was busy. So my mom tore into her about how it was her job and how she should understand how to do things at my job to a girl I liked. My life was misery for a while afterward. Edit. RIP my inbox. No. I never got the courage up to ask her out, and she left the store afterwards. When I was 6, my mom took my brothers and I out to Golden Corral for dinner. She went up to the buffet, got a steak, and came back to the table. She is an avid A1 steak sauce fan and cannot, I repeat, cannot eat steak without it. She poured out the A1 onto her plate, tasted it, and was instantly horrified. She proceeded to pour out the Golden Corral steak sauce right next to the A1, and it matched perfectly. Outraged, she called over a waitress and eventually the manager, showing them her little experiment and how she exposed the great steak sauce fraud of 06. My brothers and I were scarred for the rest of our lives. I still have nightmares about it. Right, so my mum and me went shopping, and she dropped a melon on the way out. She then claimed it was bruised and demanded a full refund. When she refused, she shouted at customer service and demanded the manager. I just sat there with a kill me now expression on my face. After, one of the customer service employees gave me a chocolate bar. So 7 yo me was happy. I don't like going to restaurants with her. She thinks that because she worked as a waitress for a year 35 years ago, it gives her the right to act like a complete asshole to them. She also thinks not tipping them will encourage them to get their act together. Joke's on you, mom. I always find our server after seated. Give them a $20. 00 and apologize in advance for your poor behavior. Edit, yes. She knows what I think of it. She doesn't care. She believes she's sticking to her principles. And that tipping poor service. Read, never had good service. Something will always be wrong. Will encourage their laziness. It's not going to stop. If you wait on her. I'm very sorry. Edit 2. She waited tables at a Pizza Hut when she was 20. She looks back at her time through rose-colored glasses. I worked hard. Went above and beyond to get my tips, then she yells at the waitress for trying to refill her drinks. Excuse me, did I ask for a refill? Obviously logic and empathy are not her strong points. My mom needed to return some shirts at the mall because they didn't fit right. It was past the allotted time that she had to return them. So the employee said that there wasn't anything she could do. My mom started screaming at this girl who was probably about 16 or 17, calling her names and demanding to speak to the manager. When the manager told my mom that they couldn't do anything and that the return policy was on the receipt, my mom threw a fit and knocked over a display that was next to the register and stormed out of the store. I was probably 6 or 7 at the time and I was mortified. I apologized for her behavior and picked up what I could before she started calling for me to follow her. The manager was super sweet to me though and told me that I was a good kid and to stick up to my mom when I could get away with it.